Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, this year, Malawi has seen floods which have claimed lives, displaced thousands, and disrupted everyday life as well. In this next report, we give you a vivid picture of what the country is experiencing and some of the relief efforts being made by organizations like UNICEF.
As heavy floods in Malawi continue to pound parts of the country's south, thousands of people have been forced from their homes into camps for the displaced. In some villages, only the tops of banana trees can be seen emerging. The Mortar Angel camp in Nsanje is hosting some of those displaced by the floodwaters. By last week, reports indicated that the floods had killed at least 79 people, displaced over 170,000 from their homes, and cost about 160,000 people their livelihoods. That's according to a UN agency. A state of emergency has been declared in 15 of Malawi's 28 districts, and 63,000 hectares of land are underwater. The flood is so severe that in one district alone, 153 people are missing, and the death toll could rise. Heavy rains began in Malawi in January, leading rivers to burst their banks and creating flash floods. The floods came on a Tuesday morning, and it started in the usual way when it rains here. Then all of a sudden, the water started rising quickly, and then we had to run for our lives. Those who managed were lucky, but some people were washed away by floods, and they have not been found till today. School schedules have also been disrupted as a result of the severe flooding. Most schools have been closed and remain closed.
As the situation is right now, most of learners are denied the right to education. They are not going to school. So it is difficult for them to become the prominent citizens of this Malawi. So I'm just very concerned.
Climate change, deforestation, and rapid population growth are exacerbating the effect of the rainy season, making the current floods some of the worst in decades. Flooding is not uncommon in the landlocked country, but the scale of this year's devastation is unprecedented. In Nsanje, the district worst hit by the flooding, the distribution of 600 emergency survival kits and almost 300 buckets and taps has been completed. Therapeutic food has also been distributed to reach 2,810 children. The U.S. Children's Agency, UNICEF, says over 320,000 children are in desperate need of humanitarian help following the country's worst flooding in 20 years. They are in danger from malaria, diarrhea, and other diseases because of stagnant flood water, lack of food and clean water, and poor sanitation.
We are expecting as a camp like this one to have a lot of maybe outbreaks like diarrheas and also childhood immunosable diseases, polio, and so on. So what we do is maybe as a health sector, we have got several departments, and every department is taking a role. Let's say here we have got people who are doing nutrition, they are screening, they are monitoring the growth. We have also people who are immunizing children against childhood diseases, and also we have got the environmental department whereby they are looking at the water and sanitation of the area.
Many are also at risk from hunger and malnutrition. Wet weather has also wrought damage in neighboring Mozambique, which has been hit periodically by catastrophic floods in the past.
Now, joining us live via telephone is the UNICEF Chief of Communications in Malawi, Angela Travis. Angela, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
Hello.
Hi. Now, I'd like to start by asking you why the floods are so severe in the country this time around in Malawi.
Well, it's one of those seasonal things, flooding in the south in the rainy season. So this year, the rains came very heavy, they came very early, and they've left most of the country in the southern district underwater. And what's been particularly difficult is that this is still the rainy season and it will continue until sort of mid-March. So all the people that have been displaced, which is around 230,000, cannot go back. They are now stuck until the rain stops falling and the water recedes.
Well, thank you so much for clearing that up. You just said 230,000, but we thought it was 170,000 people that were displaced. Thank you for clearing that up with us. But now I'd like to ask you what challenges organizations and agencies like yours are facing in providing relief efforts to these affected parts of the country.
Well, I mean, the response has been quite fast. But I think the two main issues have been a changing picture and a lack of access. So the numbers, as I just explained to you, keep changing. So originally we were estimating around 100,000 people displaced. It's now more than double that number. So if you think that an organization like UNICEF that's setting up sanitation, toilet, water facilities, looking at temporary education for some of the children, making sure there is nutrition monitoring so we can pick up cases of malnutrition. We're planning for one figure, we're putting in place those services, and suddenly we have to double them. So I would say one of the challenges is scaling up quickly, and we're not there yet, we're trying to get there after 1 month. In terms of access, there is a huge part of the flooded area that is inaccessible to cars, to road traffic. And there is 2 helicopters, which is by the government, and there is one supported by the UN.
So what's next in trying to get to these worst hit areas? Unfortunately, we just lost that call as well, but thankfully we were able to hear a lot of what Angela Travis had to say. She is the UNICEF Chief of Communications in Malawi, and she was telling us about what's happening in the country concerning floods and also the agencies trying to get aid to the most affected areas of the country.